Now back to London, and 4 days of climate protests by Extinction Rebellion and other groups is underway in the capital. And the environmental campaigners claim up to 50,000 people are heading to London to set out climate demands. Well, Sky's Thomas Moore is in central London for us. And Thomas, what's the atmosphere like?
Look, I mean, it's a lot better when the rain isn't falling. Lot more cheerful down here. And I guess the numbers have swelled. There's probably a good 1,000 here, and there are others in outside various government departments around Westminster. The important thing is that this isn't just Extinction Rebellion today. They said they were going to pause their activity back in January, but they built alliances with more than 200 other organisations and groups, and they are as far-reaching as Keep Britain Tidy and the Quakers, so it's not the hardline groups anymore. This is a very broad reflection of climate concern across society. Now, they've been hearing a number of speeches up on the stage here. They are very concerned about the lack of action, the urgency from the government. And I'm actually joined by one of the people who's come down here, Serena. You've come from Guildford, haven't you, with your family? Why have you come?
I'm here today to show my support for the people here, but also my anger at the lack of action in this country. We're supposed to be world leaders and we're not acting like it.
Now, you are an engineering student and you thought you were going to be coming up with climate solutions, but that's not enough for you anymore, is it?
No, I think also recognise that the engineers before me have already been doing an excellent job, and now we have these solutions. The problem is we're not implementing them, and so it's now as much a logistic and social and political issue as it is a technical one, and so
right.
Yeah, that's
So
why I'm here.
I mean, we're clearly standing outside Parliament, and you feel that politicians aren't listening. Although the technology is there for addressing many of these problems, perhaps
Yes.
the will is lacking.
Yes, the will is absolutely lacking, and that's what we're here to try and change.
So what do you think needs to be done to address people of your generation who will, of course, suffer the really bad consequences of the rapidly warming world?
Yes, I think the first one is definitely stopping investment in new oil fields and supporting, this reliance we have on them. We need to really start moving away from that, and the fact that we still have massive subsidies for these companies, and even in this cost of living crisis is another example where we have these energy companies who are making stupid profits and off this situation we're in, and we're still supporting that.
But the government would say that we have, in the UK, more than almost halved our carbon emissions, and it would be much better to target your concerns at countries doing much less than the UK. What would you say to that?
And I would say that this is not a fight alone, and the fact that a lot of our infrastructure is built on imported goods and all of the systems that we can't act in isolation. We've had this massive globalization event in the last few years, where a lot of the stuff that we use every day is manufactured in other countries and stuff like that. The fact that those manufacturing emissions are no longer within our borders does not necessarily mean that we've cut emissions by 50%. We've just exported them, which is an issue of climate justice as well. And so, I think not recognising that, it shows how narrow-minded, that's a narrow-minded view to take, and not something we shouldn't be thinking of our political leaders as narrow-minded.
We have seen recently the UN climate scientists, the IPCC, saying that we need to act now, and you would agree with that, would you?
Absolutely. We've been saying act now for the last 30 years, and we're going to continue saying act now, because even if, let's not succumb to doomerism where if we don't meet 1.5 degrees, 1.6 degrees is better than 1.7, and 1.7 is better than 1.8. So yes, act now. It's never going to be too late. We just have to actually start acting now. So yes, please come and support. Yeah.
Serena, thank you very much indeed. So this is the first of 4 days of action down here in Westminster. Earth Day tomorrow, the London Marathon on Sunday, and then the ultimate demand, 5 p.m. on Monday, that politicians respond to the people down here, come up with a plan of how the UK is going to step away from fossil fuels.
Thank you very much indeed. Thomas Moore there reporting from those protests in central London. And staying with environmental protests, because some prison sentences have been handed out to Just Stop Oil protesters. Now, if you remember when two protesters scaled a bridge on the Dartford crossing, which caused gridlock when police then closed that bridge to traffic, well, Morgan Troland and Marcus Decker have been sentenced at Southend Crown Court to 3 years in prison and 2 years and 7 months in prison, respectively, for causing a public nuisance. The Just Stop Oil protesters sentenced to 3 years and 2 years and 7 months in prison.